In this lesson, we're going to divide polynomials using long division. The first thing I want to do is talk about dividing two integers. You already know how to do this. We have a divisor, we will get a quotient, and our dividend is what we're dividing into. So just get used to how I'm going to speak about this, and then we'll do the polynomial division. Okay, so what I say is what number times 15 gets me close to 84 without going over, and that number would be 5. So 5 times 15 is 75, and what we do is we subtract, and we get 9. Then we bring down the 2, and we divide again. So what number times 15 gets me close to 92 without getting over, and that number would be 6. 6 times 15 is 90. You subtract, and you're left with the 2. So this is our quotient, this is our divisor, and this is our dividend. Now, to put it back together, I'm also going to write my remainder as 2 over 15, because this would be 2 over 15. So if I want to get back to my dividend, I would say 842, or I could say 842 divided by 15, which is what we did here, equals 56, which is my quotient, plus my remainder. And basically, that's your answer. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with polynomials. We're going to divide, find the quotient and the remainder. So i.e. we're going to find this top part and the remainder, and we're going to divide this polynomial. First of all, you have to put your polynomial in standard form. Standard form means you're going down on the degrees. These are called the degrees. So I'm going 3, 2, 1, and technically you could call this x to the 0, because remember, x to the 0 equals 1. And we're dividing by x squared plus 1. Now what I'm going to do that the book doesn't do is I'm going to also put my divisor in standard form. Since it doesn't have an x here, I made an x. So I'm going down. I'm doing 2, 1, and then again this could be x to the 0 here if you wanted, because x to the 0 equals 1, so we don't really usually use that. And I'm going to divide. I'm going to say, I'm going to look at this first piece here, and I'm going to say what times x squared gives me 3x cubed. So what times x squared gives me 3x cubed? And that's going to be 3x. So I multiply 3x times x squared, and I get 3x cubed. So what's going to happen is I'm going to subtract this, and this is going to knock out the cube part. But I also have to multiply by this whole thing. So now I'm going to also say 3x times 0x, that gives me 0x squared. The reason I'm doing this is you only can add and subtract like terms. So it's kind of like a placeholder. Then I say, what is 3x times 1? 3x times 1 is just 3x. Now I'm going to subtract. Now since we're subtracting polynomials, we're really subtracting all three pieces here. But instead of putting the parentheses around the whole thing, instead of doing that and putting subtract, so we know we're subtracting, the way I'm going to write it is like this, as opposed to the way we did the integers. That means we're subtracting each of these pieces here. So 3x cubed minus 3x cubed is 0, so that cancels out. I can go ahead and put 0 to the x cubed if you want. We really don't need it, but now subtract 4x squared minus 0x squared, and that's going to give me again 4x squared. Now, this is where the trouble runs, right in here. When it's a positive, you say this just like you see it. So you're going to say 1x minus a positive 3x. So that's going to give me a negative 2x. Okay? And this is now, we have our depressed dividend. So this is the depressed equation. Now, we're going to go and do it again. In this case, we're going to look at what this part here will times x squared gives me 4x squared, and that's going to be plus 4x. So what I'm saying is 4x times x squared. No, it's not 4x, it's just 4 in it. So I'm going to erase the x. It should go down. So we're going to go back. We're doing blue. So 4 times 4x squared is 4x squared. 4 times 0x is 0x. And what did I forget to do here? I forgot to bring down my 7. So I always forget to bring down that. So bring down your 7. 4 times 1 is 4. So we're going to do plus 4. Now we're going to subtract the whole thing. When you subtract, you're going to get negative 2x. 7 minus a positive 4 is plus 3. Okay? So, our equation is, if we write it all out, we're going to say this is our remainder here. This is your remainder. And we're going to write up here plus, as your remainder, negative 2x plus 3 over your divisor, which is x squared plus 1. And you can put the 0x if you want. Okay? So that's how you do long division. And you can always check by multiplying 3x plus 4 plus negative 2x plus 3 over x squared plus 1. When you add that up, you should get 3x cubed plus 4x squared plus x plus 7 over your divisor, x squared plus 1. Okay? Now let's try another one. Okay, the next one we're going to try is x to the 4th minus 3x cubed plus 2x minus 5 divided by x squared minus x plus 1. So I'm going to write this out, x squared minus x plus 1. Both of these are already in standard form. We'll talk more about that in class. Minus 3x cubed. No, we're missing a square here, aren't we? So here I'm going to go ahead and put a 0x squared. Because I want this to go to 4, 3, 2, and then 1. So our 1, the x to the first power is 2x, and then minus 5, x to the 0. I'm not going to put that. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to say what times x to the 4th gives me x squared. And that would be x squared. So when you multiply, you're multiplying x squared times x squared, and you get x to the 4th. But you also have to multiply these two here. So x squared times negative x is negative x cubed. And then we're going to get plus x squared. Yeah, I'm going to subtract, and make sure you write this here. The mistakes occur right in this area when we're going to subtract. So x to the fourth minus x to the fourth is just 0, so I usually don't put anything there. I just leave that blank. Now here we go here. Negative 3x to the cube minus a negative. So if you hear yourself say minus a negative, that means plus. So negative 3x cubed plus x cubed is negative 2x cubed. And 0x squared minus a positive is going to be minus, so that's going to be minus x squared. Now, I'll do it the right way this time. I'm going to bring down the next term, which is positive 2x. And then I repeat the process. What times x squared, so right here we're looking at this, what times x squared gives me negative 2x cubed? That's going to be negative 2x. And you multiply. So basically what you're doing, I'm going to erase this, you're saying negative 2x times negative x squared minus x plus 1. And just distributing, that's what you're doing when you do it here. So that would be negative 2x cubed. Okay, this is positive, sorry. Positive 2x squared. And then we have two negatives here make a positive, so we're going to get plus 2x. Alright, and then you're going to subtract. Okay, when you subtract, let's use purple now. These go away, and you're going to get negative 3x squared, and then this should have been a minus here, sorry. Should have been a minus. And then we're going to get positives, because you have 2 minus a negative 2x. That's going to be positive 4x. Alright? Now, you're going to bring down the 5. I'm going to bring down this negative 5 here. Minus 5. And we're going to repeat it one more time. What times x squared gives me negative 3x squared? And that's going to be negative 3. So we have negative 3. And you just multiply this negative 3 here by each of these terms. This one, and this one. So you're going to get negative 3x squared. That's what we want. We always want the first term here to be the same so they cancel out. Plus 3x minus 3. And then when you subtract both of them, we're going to subtract everything. We're going to get x minus a negative is going to be minus 2. So this is your remainder. And I'm running out of room. So this is your remainder here. This part here is your remainder. So the way you're going to write it is your answer is x squared minus 2x minus 3 plus x minus 2 over your divisor, which is x squared minus x plus 1. And then you're welcome to check. Okay? And that is your answer.